Hi, I'm Danny Lipford.
And I'm Chelsea Lipford-Wolf.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a like and a comment.
And be sure to share with a friend, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you get notified of new videos.
Thanks and enjoy the show.
This carport's solving a big problem for these homeowners. Stay tuned, we'll show you how.
Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Get ready for a half hour full of projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
Hey, I'm glad you're with us this week. Now, we're really solving a problem these homeowners have with this home that they purchased about 3 years ago. When they purchased the home, there was no carport or a garage because several years earlier, this garage had been closed in for extra living space. Well, we're solving the problem with adding a two-car carport in this part of the yard with a breezeway that will attach it to a small room we're calling a mudroom. Now, this is an area they'll have a few closets and a space that the kids can sit down and take all their old muddy shoes off before going into the house. Now, we'll look at all of this and see it completed in this week's show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many times when homeowners are looking for ways to expand their living area, they look at enclosing their carport or the garage, which is exactly what the previous homeowners did with this area that used to be the garage. You can see the old opening for the garage that goes right along this brick area, because these are new bricks, these are original, then right up to the little roll-lock here and continues right on down. Even have an area here between the door units where they bricked in as well. Now, they did a fairly good job in disguising the fact that this used to be a garage with utilizing the doors, and even went as far as to cut the driveway back here, which is a great idea to allow for a little buffer zone of landscaping. Would be nice to have a few shrubs in between the two doors to define the entryways. Well, that won't be a problem now because we're actually removing all of the windows or all of the doors and fixed window units and replacing them with all windows down the side. Now, on the inside, they didn't do such a good job on disguising the old garage. They could have poured a slab on the inside and raised the floor up to the present level, eliminating the step down that's on the inside. And they could have considered removing all of the original wood siding off the walls and replacing it with something a little more interior looking, like paneling or drywall. But it's still a pretty good looking room. Now, out back, the layout's really going to solve a lot of problems. The mudroom addition itself will be about 10 foot by 10 foot with a set of double closets on one side and a window on the driveway side. Then a breezeway will extend from the mudroom to the new carport, which is positioned at an angle to allow easy access into the carport, and it actually adds a nice architectural touch. The breezeway and the carport will be supported by a series of round columns that match those that are on the front of the house. Now, to give you an idea of where we are at this point, we're basically right in the middle of all of our foundation work, and there's a fair amount of foundation work because we're having to support all of the walls that we have here, as well as quite a roof going over the rest of the structure. Now, the guys are in the process of putting in the form boards so that we can actually pour this slab monolithically, which would mean that the concrete pours into the footings and right over to create the level slab that will actually be the same level as the adjacent living area. So all of that will be taken care of here in just the next few days. Also, we started out here with a wall that was completely covered with vines. All of that had to be removed. Then we cut a nice straight line on the brick on both sides so that will allow room for our new bricks on the new wall and the new walls themselves to tie in. Now, all this is being concreted as well as a little bit of concrete work we're doing over here. But this is to support the new bricks that will be extended from the patio into this area, around here, and right back in to the breezeway. So it provides a really good transition from the carport into the walkway right on inside, or meandering around this area and going in another back entryway. Now, you can see a lot of footings that have had to be dug, and we'll be pouring those in the next few days, including the footings all the way around the carport itself. Now, anytime you're putting down a foundation, it's so important to get it right. And we've had some good weather here, even though it's fairly hot. And we're moving along on this project. And when we come back, we'll show you some of the other aspects of this project, including a significant roof tie-in tying into the house and then coming out with a flat roof, and all the columns we're putting in that'll match up with the front of the house. Stay with us.
It's time to pick up a few tricks of the trade from Danny and home repair expert Joe Truini in this week's Simple Solution. Brought to you by DuPont Tyvek. Build it once, build it right.
Pegboard is great to have on any garage wall.
But to make it work properly, you have to put wooden cleats around the back, as I did here. These 1x2 cleats, so it's off the wall and you have room to put the hooks in. But ordinarily, the 1x2 goes all the way around it, and then you have to lift up the entire pegboard and hang it on the wall. I found a much easier way to install it. I took a 1x4 and I set a table saw blade to 45 degrees and I bevel ripped it into 2 pieces. Then I took the first piece and I screwed it to the wall. This is about 7 feet off the ground, nice and level, and I drove the screws into the studs. Then you take the second piece and you screw it to the back of the pegboard, and then it just sits right on there and holds up the whole panel. So what we need to do is take this and slide it underneath here.
Okay.
Put it nice and flush with the top, and then just hold it in place with 3 or 4 screws. And the great thing about this technique is it allows you to very easily not only install the pegboard, but then take it off the wall if you ever need to patch or paint the wall behind it.
And it has to be a good, strong installation because you have the screws going straight into the studs, plus this is supported all the way across the top
And
here.
watch how easy it is to install. You just slide it on. Perfect. And if you ever wanted to make it blend in with the wall more, you can just roll on a coat of paint.
Welcome back to the show. Now, as you can see, we're right in the middle of all of the framing on this project. We have most of the mudroom complete, and that's the start so that we can build the breezeway and all of the carport structure itself. Now, the last few days have been great weather. Even though it's been a little warm, we've been able to get all of our concrete poured for the entire project. Now, we were lucky in that the concrete trucks were able to back right up to the forms, unload all of the concrete, and then our finishers were able to level it out, bull float it, and provide the different textures we have on the different areas. Let me show you what I mean. Now, this is, of course, interior space. So we wanted to have this slab nice and smooth so that the homeowners could put just about any kind of floor covering they want on that. Now, this slab, which is the sidewalk that'll allow us to extend the bricks from the patio right on out into this area, is a little rougher. This texture will allow the bricks to adhere well once we install those, and we have a few control joints cut in to allow for expansion and contraction over the years. Now, the surface of the carport is a little rougher, and it's called a broom finish or brush finish. This is to allow a non-skid surface once it rains after the structure's up. Will keep anyone from slipping and falling down on that. So even though it's all the same kind of concrete, the finish that we have on it kind of defines the different areas that we'll have. Now, this whole project, which basically is a carport, breezeway, and mudroom, and a few other small alterations, started out as a solution that the homeowners have had to a problem that the homeowners have had for many, many years. Now, recently, we spoke with the homeowner, Sherry Pierce.
Well, this is actually the family room where we spend most of our time, and this room actually used to be the garage. The original homeowner actually turned it into the family room. But one of the problems that we found since we've been living here is that we have a little water problem. Water is coming through 2 of the French doors that we have on the driveway side of our house. And what it was doing was coming through was, of course, having our carpet was staying pretty wet during those rainy times here. And that's what we decided to do, was to meet with someone, one of the consultants from the construction company, to come out and give us some ideas on what we could do. We had originally started with building a little covering, an overhang maybe on that side of the house. And he actually suggested that, no, let's create an entire new entry that would actually be a perfect way for us to add on a car cover to our home, which is something that the house obviously doesn't have anymore. A car cover was very important to both of us. A shelter for our cars, and certainly a way for us to get away from the elements when we're coming to and from our cars. So that's really how it all started. And then we came in and decided that since we were going to build that new door, I actually asked then, could we build a mudroom to go along with that? Because we'd certainly love a place, instead of just walking straight into the family room and dropping our things, we'd like to place to kind of a drop room or a mudroom, whichever you'd like to call it, so we'd have a place to do that. Wipe off your feet and put your nasty little shoes there, and umbrellas and things, car keys, whatnot, but a nice little place for some storage area as well. There'll be 2 closets in that area, so we're just really excited about the addition and having a place that we can come in, drop our things, and then move on to the family room and keep this area neat and tidy.
This is what started the whole thing. The problem that Sherry talked about earlier occurred when the water in the front yard after a heavy rain flowed this way. It flowed into this low area and caused some problems on the inside because when the contractors enclosed the garage several years ago, they didn't raise the slab up level with the inside of the house, the living area. Instead, they kept it down to the regular slab height, and now when water gets here, it forces its way under the door, causing some problems there. Now, the way we're going to solve it is to replace this door unit with a series of 3 single window units molded together. Now, what this will allow us to do is still give some nice natural light into this den area, but we can have our brick mason come back and brick in under the window, which will allow us to build this dirt up a little bit and work with our landscaper to kind of channel the water away from the house like it should be on any part of your house. Well, everything's working out good here. Our mudroom is coming together and it's time to look at the carport. The 9 columns that support the carport are actually steel posts with decorative fiberglass columns over them. Once the post is bolted in place, the capitals are set on top of the columns. They're measured and cut to length. The base is set over the post and the column goes on above it. On top of the columns will rest the beams that form the perimeter of the carport and carry the weight of the roof between the columns. These 2x12s are tripled up and bolted to the steel columns. On top of the beam rest the rafters tied down with metal straps, and on top of the rafters, the plywood decking completes the framing.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product, brought to you by the Home Depot.
It seems like every time you turn around, you see a new type of hose reel introduced on the marketplace to roll up those garden hoses when you're working outside. Well, I found yet another one, but this one's kind of nice because it's motor driven. Now, this is called the Power Wind. Now, it's powered by a 12-volt rechargeable battery, very similar to the type that you have in maybe your cordless drill. And it slips right in there, and of course when it is running low you have a charger that comes with this unit that allows you to charge it back up fairly quickly. Now, inside, the hose reel can actually hold up to 100 feet of 5/8 inch garden hose, and then you can see on this side how it has the short hose that comes with it to attach it to your hose bib or faucet on the outside. Now, when you've finished working out in the yard and you're ready to roll up your hose, then you just push on the foot pedal and then it automatically rolls it right back into the spool. It also has a guide that allows it to kind of lay it out the way it should be so that it's not bulking up or getting tangled up in any way. Also, a little area here on the bottom for any of the spray nozzles, and it also comes with a couple small stakes to stake it down to the ground so that it won't turn over once the hose is reeling back in. And the total of this one is a little bit less than $80. We've been able to complete most of our framing of both the mudroom, the breezeway, as well as the flat roof that we have on the carport. Our carpenters are in the process of taking care of a few of the finishing touches, and our roofer's out on the job to make sure everything is watertight. The trim around the carport is all fiber cement material to keep maintenance to a minimum. Because this material is mostly cement, cutting it is very dusty work, and all the nail holes have to be pre-drilled, but it holds paint great and won't ever rot or decay. The roofer's job is also very tedious but a bit more messy. This modified roofing material is attached by rolling out a sticky black adhesive. Along the edges of each piece, nails and a troweled-on thick roof cement hold it in place. Aluminum drip metal goes around the perimeter to trim out the roof. It's capped with shingle tabs, more cement, and another 12-inch strip of the modified roofing material. Over the last couple weeks, someone else that's been very busy is our brick mason. He's completed all of the roll lock under the 2 new window units, so won't have to worry about any water getting in there. Now, our brick mason Truett's also been busy with putting all the bricks around our new mudroom. It's completely finished other than this one wall. Now, the reason he hasn't completed this wall is we had a little change up on the size of this window, and it took a couple weeks to get the window, so he completed everything but this one wall. Now he's completing this. Now, after all of this is complete, we'll have a little bit of drying time for the bricks and the mortar to cure. Then our painter can come back out and take care of all of the priming and painting so that it matches the rest of the house. Now, speaking of painting, our painters are busy inside at the same time our guys are working here on the outside, trying to take care of all the last-minute touch-ups on the windows and the doors and trim inside. Now, through the design of this project, the homeowner realized she's also solving a problem that she had with her patio.
Well, the patio right now is actually encased with 3 walls, but unfortunately the one side that doesn't have the wall is the side that faces our driveway and certainly also faces the street. So we have a lot of traffic on that street, and so this additional mudroom is going to actually be that wonderful wall that will separate the street from our view into our patio. So it's going to be a nice little privacy added to that because of that now.
From this viewpoint, I can see exactly what Sherry means. The addition comes out just far enough that you can't see into the back patio, because in the past, any cars that go by would be able to see into the backyard, really creating kind of a privacy problem. Takes care of that. Now, in addition to all of the bricks that are being laid by Truett and his crew on the mudroom, they've also been working on this nice walkway over the past couple weeks. Now, the bricks that we have here are the exact same bricks that were used originally on the patio many years ago, but because of the time frame, the bricks don't look exactly the same. The mortar here is brand new. The mortar's there many, many years old. So after a little bit of weathering and maybe a little pressure washing and cleaning of the existing bricks, this will all flow very nicely, just like the homeowner envisioned. Now, another thing that Truett's doing with the bricks that I really like a lot is how he's actually using the bricks for the soffit. Now, he's done this to match the other part of the house so that we carry as many of the architectural design features into the new part as we have in the old. So that'll also kind of help in the maintenance-free approach the homeowner really had in mind here. Well, you know, basically we're just about finished with this project. Always at the end of a project you have a few touch-ups, a few adjustment of doors, a little bit of paint here and there, and the landscaper has a little bit of work to do to make all of this look like home. Speaking of landscaping, next, around the yard.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley.
Well, Tricia, I see you're getting a little bit of raking done, a little cleanup, huh?
Well, actually, I'm gathering up these leaves to use next year for compost.
Okay, now, well, if you're going to compost them, if they're going to rot anyway, why not just leave them on the ground?
Hey, Danny, there are a lot of bad things that can happen if we leave it on the ground. There are lots of pests and things that can go if you just leave them right on the ground.
Okay, well, I know you have your compost pile already set up. You've used some old wooden pallets there, so I guess you'll just take the leaves and dump them right on top.
Well, I've definitely done that before, you know, kind of compost lasagna. But this year I'm trying something different. I'm putting them in these black plastic bags. I've already tied one up, as you can see, and I am going to store them for a year. Because you know what, Danny? Leaves break down in a different way than the rest of the compost matter that you actually, you know, put in there, like vegetable matter.
I see.
The things in a compost break down because of bacteria, and leaves have leaf mold, so they break down at a different rate. And sometimes if you look at compost, you'll see that everything's broken down except the leaves.
But I thought in a compost bin like that, you're encouraging the water and the air to get in there, but here you're going to close all that off.
Yeah, sunlight, air, and water, those are the components of what happens in the compost bin. But here we're going to, as I said, tie up the bag. It's sealed. We're going to put some slits in it, so it's still going to get the air, a little bit of water from maybe some rain, but it doesn't need sunlight because it deals with fungus rather than bacteria.
And then when you use it, you can mix a little of this and a little of that to accomplish just what you want.
Yeah, it'll be great planting matter for next year.
We started this project with homeowners that needed a car shelter and a little more storage and a solution to a drainage problem that's been plaguing them for years. Well, we took care of all of this with new windows being installed. In addition, that will serve as a back entryway that includes 2 spacious closets, a very nice ceramic floor, and plenty of natural light being allowed into the area with a rear door that's a 15-light door and an interior door that has plenty of glass. Also, they don't have to worry about when it rains. 2-car carport and a breezeway that ties it right in to the new entryway. Now, around back, the new brick walkway ties into the existing patio and provides a nice seamless transition from the old to the new. Hey, I'm glad you were with us. We'll see you next week. Fencing can provide you security, privacy, and a better looking yard. Join us next week for several fencing options.
Thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to like, comment, and hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified of new videos.
And be sure to click around and watch some more videos while you're here.